where are my manners? Sonic, meet Knuckles, my new BFFAE, bestest friend forever and ever.
Look, Robotnik, I don't care who you brought to help you. You're never going to get my power.
Do I look like I need your power?
Hello. Please come in. There's some fresh cookies in the cookie jar. There's a pitcher of Kool-Aid on the counter. Have a seat. We'll put a movie on for you. This is Movies at Grandma's House, where we look at the movies from the past to see if they're still good today. And I'm your host, Isaac. Papa's got a brand new stash. And who's joining me for part 2 of Sonic the Hedgehog?
This is Seth. Congratulations on your temporary, oh-so-great sense of superiority.
Awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's an exciting time to be considering the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. We've considered the first one, and it just feels like we're just steaming forward. We're just having a great time covering these movies. So I'm excited. I'm pumped. I say that a lot. I mean, I'm just speaking the truth. You know, when we cover these movies, it's exciting. It's a fun time. That's how it's been for us so far. So I'm pumped to get into this one. But before we do, just to remind you, the listeners, be sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, so you'll be able to be up to date when our new episodes drop. And in case you haven't seen this movie, I think a lot of people have, but we like to give the proper warning. Please stop what you're doing. Go watch it. It's on Paramount Plus. You can stream it. I'm sure you might know somebody that even owns this movie. Who knows? But be sure you watch it and then come on back. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. This is none other than Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was released multiple dates. I'm seeing international. It had a March 30th, 2022 United States. It was April 8th, so it came out a little later in the US, and then Japan was August 19th, 2022. Oh, wow. So thought that was interesting. Just a little fun fact, I guess. It had some spread out dates on its releasing. It had a budget of 90 to about 110 million. Again, kind of gives you a variable, but the box office, 405.4 million. Just like the first, it was a hit. And we'll talk about how this spawned another sequel that we're anticipating to be coming out here soon. But again, we mentioned you can watch this on Paramount Plus. It looks like it's on Hulu. You can also watch it there. And just kind of a quick glance looking at the reviews. IMDb has an overall score 6.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 69%. And Metacritic is a little lower, about 47. So pretty favorable reviews across the board. But again, going back, this was a couple years ago, more on the newer side of the movies that we've covered. But I'm interested to hear, what are some first memories you have when this movie was released?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. Before seeing this review, I hadn't watched it, which is surprising because I love Sonic. So I have to say, it was really fresh and it was a lot of fun.
Cool. It happens. It's weird how just we talked about COVID and everything going on. It was like it kind of impacted the movies. You know, it used to be, I can speak for myself. I used to go to the movies a lot more, and it definitely kind of changed things a little bit. But how things are now, it's definitely improved. So, you know, it might be a little different. I didn't see this upon release either. I'm with you. I remember the hype about it, though. I had seen the first one by that point. We had streamed it. So it was kind of that we'll wait till it's on streaming just because of the uncertainty with things. But I recall enjoying it. My kids loved it. They're big Sonic fans. They like video games in general, but they are big Sonic fans. So this hit on one of my kids is a huge Tails fan. So when Tails, it was like, oh my goodness, you know, he was just freaking out. So that was so much fun to watch him experience that. So this has a lot of fun memories with it. As much as it was only a couple years ago, I could still recall when we first watched it. It was a lot of fun. So again, this is a fresh take for you, like you were mentioning, but what were some expectations that you had going back to watch this for the first time?
I really enjoyed the first movie, so I was pretty sure this one would be entertaining as well. So I had a pretty good outlook.
Awesome. I just want to have a good time with my kids. Like I said, it was kind of like, well, let's go through this ride again, and we had so much fun watching it the first time. So it was just a matter of let's enjoy this ride once more. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Let's this time turn on our streaming device, select Sonic 2 from Paramount Plus, and press play.
Dr. Robotnik returns, but this time with a new partner, Knuckles, who is in search of an emerald with the power to destroy civilizations. Sonic also teams up with a new partner, Tails, trying to obtain the emerald first. Meanwhile, Tom and Maddie are in Hawaii for a wedding. This story is fast-paced and entertaining with lots of action and comedy. Grab your snacks, find a seat, and enjoy.
That's it. Love it. That is a great plot summary right there. So I'm very interested, since this was your first time viewing, what are some things that stuck out to you when you're starting to watch this movie?
So really, I felt like the plot was strong and that the characters were really moved the story along. I like the humor and the action. So, and I would look to go along with that. So much goes into this picture. Lots of side plots and action, new characters with big personalities. I definitely have to. You can't say enough about the introducing Knuckles and Tails, and everything was just kind of well put together, in my opinion.
I agree. That's what sticks out. And I go back to, my kids love Sonic. So you got not one, but two characters introduced. At the end of the first movie, they tease Tails.
Yeah.
But you get Knuckles. I mean, that's just so cool to me. Like I was so excited when I saw Knuckles was going to be in this. We knew Tails if you watch the end scene, but they were able to pull it off, I thought, very well. When you're watching it, I think it goes along with what you're saying. Very smooth transition, just throws you right back into it. I think the opening scene with Sonic where he's in the city, it gave me Sonic Adventure 2 vibes. I'm a big Sonic Adventure 2 fan. I enjoyed that game, and we'll, talk about that game probably more because they incorporate a lot from that game into what looks like going to be in a third one. But getting back to this, I don't know. It just felt really fun. It just immediately pulled me in. That first scene, it felt like a video game. It felt like the Sonic games. And I think if you look at some people's thoughts on Sonic, there's been, this or that on the characters. I think the characters shine here. What were your thoughts on, now we have, again, Tails and Knuckles added. What'd you think of the voice acting, the characters overall? What kind of stuck out to you?
Not to sound like a broken record, but the introduction of new characters was well thought out. They just flowed so well. You talked about it just then. The voiceover work was amazing. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about this in great detail, but Idris Elba is probably, I think he steals the show, in my opinion. Yes. And that's hard to do with the cast that they have.
Right.
So that's saying something. It was really well done. Just really well done. I was very impressed.
I'm right with you. He steals the show, and that's saying a lot because I go back to, they could have just put Tails in this movie and had a story built on that, because you think about the Sonic games, Sonic 1 was just Sonic. Sonic 2 incorporated Tails, and in Sonic 3, that's when Knuckles jumped in. And I was a big Sonic 3 fan too. I've been a fan of Knuckles when he was introduced. So seeing all this together, I mean, if you're a fan of the games, just having Tails, because they brought the original Tails voice actor from the TV shows and media. So that would, for me, if you're a Sonic fan, you're like, oh, they got the, Tails voice. But then, like you said, they get Knuckles, and the voice acting is just so well done, in my opinion. I think, in my mind, that matches the characters. I think some people weren't too pleased with that. Did you read about that, about Knuckles and getting the casting?
I didn't see too much on it. I I I know a lot of people are passionate about this series, and they, when they get passionate, then sometimes they don't see the full picture. But unfortunately, for them, it worked out for us. So
Right.
it worked out in the end. So I don't know. It's hard to say it didn't work. I don't know. I can't agree with that.
Yeah. Each one have your own opinions. I could see how some maybe they imagine Knuckles' voice being a little bit different. Maybe they had a TV show of Sonic. There's been several Sonic shows that have been introduced, and the voices have been different depending on the series. But I don't know what it was. It just hit it out of the park for me. I was, again, drawn in. It has those fun moments because it's a kid's movie. So there's some silly, fun antics and stuff. And I can enjoy that. Again, I have kids, so watching it, it's fun. Maybe people didn't like that part of it. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I was expecting everybody to kind of have a favorable feedback, but I was noticing the characters and some of the aspects of it. Maybe they thought it was just a little too childish or something. And everybody's, again, entitled to your own opinion, but I disagree. I think you're in the agreement with me on that.
Yeah.
So, but just something to think about. I guess everybody's going to have a different take on it. I absolutely love Jim Carrey again. He's just fantastic as Dr. Robotnik, and his chemistry, as much as their CGI with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, was great. What'd you think about that dynamic?
Yeah. Again, as much as Knuckles steals the show, it's hard to steal it from Carrey's character, and he plays Robotnik so well, which you wouldn't think a tall, skinny guy would be Robotnik, but yeah, he plays it so well with his humor is at the forefront, which it needs to be, and I really appreciate that, and it's just well done. The quote after quote after quote. I mean, just the whole podcast could be on quotes that Dr. Robotnik said.
He has so many. I love so many of his quotes, and that's Jim Carrey. I mean, what movie can you think of where Jim Carrey doesn't have great lines, great dialogue? And I would assume a lot of those were ad-libbed, where he just came up with them on the spot. But I think, yeah. What were some quotes that you liked? What else? We kind of mentioned a few of them already.
I like the scene where he says, "I knew a kid named Knuckles in school could fit his entire fist in his mouth. If this is the same Knuckles, then we're all screwed." I also liked the one where Dr. Robotnik's working on this thing and all this lightning is around him, and he goes, "Pardon the lightning." I love that. Just so many quotes. Just so many quotes.
Yes, they're so great. I mean, I think sometimes it gets on the silly side for like the kids, but it works. I have to say, like, I don't think it's you're getting the same level of quotes, if that makes sense. I think there's a lot of kind of what you mentioned, those lines of there might be a little more to them, and then you've got some silly Sonic quotes. For some reason I enjoy where he catches a missile and throws it back. He's like, "Return to sender" from Sonic, and I enjoy that because that's what Sonic's personality is. Like, you imagine him, if you're controlling him in a game, that's something he would say. And that's what I enjoy about the quotes. It's just so well done. And, Knuckles, again, he's got some funny lines in there too. He's just very serious, even across there. He's like, "You're no match for me. I've been training for this my entire life." He's very serious. And then you have Sonic, who's more on the silly and off the wall kind of thing. So I just had a fun time with these quotes. I'm a quotes guy. I love that about movies. If you can have clever lines, I can't say enough about it. So I don't know. I guess we can move on to, like, what'd you think of the visuals? I thought this was a fantastic movie just to even look at.
Yeah. So it's live action, but there's animation, like CGI as well. And the live action, like, mix of the two is stunning. I mean, it's just, they did an amazing job doing this, just making this. I don't know if it's all the cinematographer, if it's mainly the CGI people or if it's a combination. Just amazing work. And you can really tell, like, I don't know if the budget, I can't remember what the budget was for the first one, but it was definitely like a crisper, movie. Like they just looked visually stunning.
I agree. Yeah, the first one had that whole controversy of Sonic was one style and there's backlash and they had to go back. But it feels like they finally got the rhythm down. They got what they were going for. And it comes across beautiful. I mean, when Sonic is powering up, when Knuckles is powering up and they are clashing with each other, it's just great to watch. I mean, that's another thing I kind of geeked out about because that took heavy from the third game where Knuckles is actually kind of the anti-hero and he's trying to get the, Master Emerald, but it isn't till later that they join up together to fight Robotnik because of course it's Dr. Robotnik. He's always up to something and he's the one who double crosses Knuckles. But all the while, each Sonic and Knuckles fight, it's just really fun to watch. It's very well done. Like you said, it's got the seamless, even though this isn't a real life setting, it kind of seems together. I guess I'll go, if you want to talk about any negatives, just to kind of throw out there. I do think maybe the human story, the characters, outside of Jim Carrey, of course, but those might have been a little bit on the lacking when you compare it to the Sonic and Knuckles. I think that's a high bar to be set. You can't really match that. So maybe that's unfair of assessment. But I am curious, what did you think about that part of it? The human side of his caretakers. I'm blanking on their names now, but
Tom and Maddie. Yeah. I like the wedding idea. I think that was well played. I could see what you're saying, probably because Sonic kind of takes over the film.
Yeah.
I think the first one was kind of half and half. Yeah. I feel like this one is more of a Sonic kind of movie. I don't have any complaints about that. One thing I wanted to say about the visuals is that the rings, like the transportation rings or whatever you call them, like they were gorgeous. I mean, just absolutely stunning. It was unbelievable to see the transition between like reality and what's fake. I don't know how they did it so well. But to go back to your question, yeah, the characters were probably a little bit. I don't know if lacking's the right word that I would use, but they were kind of like a sides plot storyline. It wasn't really like a feature. You know what I mean? It wasn't a main plot, which is okay. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was funny. I thought the whole wedding thing was really cute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it works. It's not like I had a major gripe with it. I guess if you want to look at things from both sides, if we want to do a pros and cons of the movie, that might be one that maybe it just kind of, if you're comparing them side by side, it maybe, I don't know, I can't tell you the scene exactly, but it kind of cut from Sonic to them. It wasn't as smooth, because that's a word I would use about this movie, is it's very smooth throughout, but it might not be quite as smooth when it goes from Sonic to them. And again, that's hard to do. How do you, again, Sonic is going to steal the show, and he should. That's what the whole movie is about. But I didn't think it was a bad thing either. I think that was a good touch of mixing it up there in it's Hawaii, I believe, where they go to the wedding. So they're in a completely different location, and that whole storyline, I think it works well. And it eventually comes back to the town to I thought it was funny with Wade, the deputy. He's kind of put in charge. Here's another quote I just thought of he's like, I'm going to get what I want. He's interrogating Agent Stone, who's working with Robotnik. He's like, you're going to tell me what I want to know. And I'm asking you for the last time, what would you like on your bagel? It's so silly, but I found that hilarious. But I kind of got sidetracked talking about the aspect. I did like, I liked his character. Is what I was going to say. I'm not trying to bash it. I guess that was just if we want to play both sides of it. But I can't complain too much about this movie. I'm just going to be honest. There's a lot to enjoy about this movie. Kind of like what you said with the plot summary. Get yourself a popcorn and just enjoy this ride. I think people had gripes with this movie, but each one has their opinion. I'll say I will say maybe you're nitpicking a little too much, but that's my opinion. So
Yeah.
I'll go with that. But I'm interested to hear what are some fun facts, maybe, or anything else you wanted to throw in there.
So fun facts. Okay, so as Sonic calls Tom for help, you can hear the Green Hill Zone song as Tom's ringtone from the very first Sonic game. That's
Yes.
one.
I love that.
The working title or code name for the film was Emerald Hill from the second game, which I think is awesome.
I love that too. Those two things that you meant. I love it. That's great. Great callback. Yes.
At one point, Sonic has a mohawk, which resembles the American redesign, which his quills are in a row.
I don't remember that.
In the beginning of the film.
In the beginning. Okay. Yeah, for some reason I wasn't remembering that. So that's interesting. Very cool.
When Knuckles hits the baseball through the scoreboard, you can hear the score from The Natural by Randy Newman. Which is very cool for people who are baseball fans. Because
yes.
Yeah. I didn't know Randy Newman made that score.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
know.
That's so cool. I didn't pick that up. I'll be frank. I didn't notice that when it happened. We might have been again. I was watching it with my kids, and maybe we were laughing.
It's a fun scene. That's a very fun scene.
I'll have to rewatch it now. I love that. That's great. So
check it out on YouTube.
Yeah,
watch the whole movie. But go back and watch that scene for sure.
I'll pay more attention next time. Yeah,
those are the fun facts I've got for this one.
All right. Well, anything else to just throw in there? I mean, we kind of just touched on the majority there of. It's just a fun movie, but I'm interested if you had any other thoughts, just kind of throw in the mix.
Well, as an overview, I just have down, it's funny, action-packed, and it has a nice storyline and great characters. What more could you ask for?
I agree. Just a fun movie, and we'll recommend it, and we'll get to reviews and all that, but I think it's just a fun movie. I think you summarized it very well. It's a great popcorn flick. Maybe if they re-release this in theaters, this is just me, but I think it'd be a fun theater experience. It's one of those movies, especially we talked about Sonic and Knuckles fight. The sound really is amplified. So yeah, it's just a fun movie to, especially visually. And if you're a Sonic fan, I think you got a lot of things you can like about this movie. Maybe you have some gripes, but you should enjoy this one for sure. Well, before we get to our reviews, let's take a look. Again, we mentioned people's feedback, so I'm interested to see, Seth, what kind of reviews are you seeing out there?
Well, our first review is from Entertainment's Paradise. They say, "You don't choose the moment chooses you." 7 out of 10.
Okay. So they seem to have a pretty favorable review on it then.
The next one is Mindless Movie Master said, "Masterpiece of a sequel, 10 out of 10.
Wow. It's a great movie. Wow, that's the first I've heard of a 10 out of 10 though. That's awesome. Okay.
I'll come back to that in a second.
Okay.
With my review. So movie analysis says Fun Unleashed, 7 out of 10.
Okay. So 7 out of 10. Got 2 of them there, but that's overall pretty positive. Again, going back to, I know some people maybe they just didn't like the tone of the characters. I think they were just expecting something different. So I think you just got to watch this movie. Maybe you come to your own conclusion. I think it's kind of a good split going on there. So, but that's good to see that for the most part, you have some favorables there. So, okay. Well, that is the reviews we're seeing for now. So let's get down to it. Let's talk about our reviews. So Seth, I have to ask you, when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, how are you going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to leave it at grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic?
So the first viewing of this, I've watched it a couple times. I was on the fence, but the more I think about it, I personally want to take this home. It's a really good story, told well, and extremely entertaining. Now, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to give this a numerical rating.
Okay.
I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That kind of tells you how strongly, because I feel like we keep it simple on our ratings, but I feel like have kind of tiers
Yeah.
on our ratings. So
I love our ratings. I'm just saying, because I've with the Sonic series, the ratings are kind of all over the place. I wanted to
Yeah.
give people an idea of where I landed on that, because like it's kind of hard to see where people, like you said, it was a 6.5 on IMDb. It's, if you go on IMDb and look at reviews, it's like all over the place.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really was favorable for this one. I love this movie. It was very entertaining, and that's where I land on it. Take it home.
Cool. I that's what we got to stress. We kind of focused on the positive, but I think if you ask some others that didn't maybe enjoy it, they probably have a lot of other things to critique it for. So can't stress it enough. Just if you haven't seen this, watch it, come to your own conclusion, because I think it could go either way. I was back and forth, and I'll point out a few things of why I didn't touch on it, but like I guess the flaw would be at times going back to it's just not as smooth. I think the like dance off part in the cabin, it's a little bit on the weaker side.
Yeah.
Just that interaction, it's being silly, it's being fun, so you can't take it seriously, and I didn't. But if I'm just being honest, it's like, there's moments like that maybe that kind of take you out of it a little bit. So it's not a perfect movie. That's what I'm trying to say. But I was on the fence. I have to go back to, I just had so much fun with this movie though. So I am going to take it home. I'm with you. I really think it's better than the first. If you want to break it down, I would watch this over the first one. And not that the first one was bad, but this has Tails. It's got Knuckles. It's got such a fun, just action sequences. Jim Carrey is, I thought he was great in the first one. I kind of liked him a little bit more, just even with that interaction with Knuckles. And
Yeah.
Knuckles is so serious, and he'll say those serious lines, and Jim Carrey just has these amazing lines and reactions to them. They're just so great. And I want to make note of it, because if you were a 90s kid, you knew Sega and Nintendo clashed with each other. If you recall, I did leave the Mario movie at grandma's. So it might be one of those, well, you're going to say this is better than the Mario movie? I don't know. I'm going by experience. I just want to make that clear. I want to put a little disclaimer out there. Like, I don't know if I can compare them because they're two different movies. I think this knew what it was trying to do, and it did it nearly flawless. It has its flaws, like I said, but I think it's just a fun movie. What else can I say?
Can I jump in for a second?
Yes.
Okay, so I would say, like, as far as like Mario and Sonic goes, I'm more of a Mario fan, but I have more nostalgia with Sonic. Does that make sense?
I think you're explaining it how I'm trying to now. So I
that's
appreciate
exactly
it.
what you. That's what I was thinking with what you were saying. Is I love Mario. I'm a big Mario guy, but when I get that rush of playing Sonic for the first time as a little kid, you know what I mean? I don't get that when I play like Mario anymore. It's a different feeling. It's more of an adult grown up feeling than it is the nostalgia feeling.
Yeah. I could say I'm probably a bigger Mario fan. All my life I played Mario games. I've always liked Sonic too.
Yeah.
I think this just does the games more justice, as much as the Mario movie did too. I'm not saying the Mario movie didn't, but again, this is a Sonic 2 episode, so I'm not trying to sway too much, but I just wanted to bring that out, because I think my issue with the Mario movie was there wasn't stakes. There wasn't that like hope.
Yeah.
This one is, okay, in the first movie, you see how powerful Sonic is. Well, he's kind of met his match in Knuckles. So now you have this obstacle to overcome. I just think it flowed better. Going back to that word smooth, this had a smooth way about it, and it was just a fun time. It's a kid's movie. Like I said, my kids enjoyed this, and they love the Mario movie too. So, I mean, just to get back to that, I want to make that clear. Yeah. Maybe if we go back and cover the Mario movie, maybe my thoughts change, but I thought to myself, I bet people are going to be like, what? You took this home, but you left Mario movie? Because I think the Mario movie is a great movie too. But for now, that's my thoughts. I'm just going to leave it at that. Like, this is a fun movie. Go check it out. This is I think a good love letter to Sonic 2, Sonic 3 fans. You should enjoy this in some capacity. Just don't think too much about it. Just go into it and have a fun time. That's what this movie is telling you too. At the beginning, it's kind of, I don't know, I got that vibe of just, hey, let's just have a fun time, guys.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie does.
Yeah.
So there it is. We have covered the first 2 Sonic the Hedgehog movies. And what's next? Well, we have a movie called Sonic the Hedgehog 3 coming out. It is not out yet, but we are going to be covering it. So stay tuned. You want to be up to date? We are going to cover it as soon as we can. We'll get you our reviews if you're wanting to see our thoughts on that. We're just so excited. We can't say that enough. We're pumped. This is the month of Sonic in December. So that's something we can look forward to. But before we wrap things up, let's make sure we tell everyone where they can find us on our socials so you will be up to date on when we are covering that. So Seth, where can people find us?
You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can email us at movies@grandmashouse@gmail.com. And as always, we are on Patreon now, so check us out, become a member so you can stay up to date.
There you have it, folks. Yep, stay tuned. Follow us on all those platforms. And again, we're excited to be coming up on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It's going to be a good one. But that's going to be our time at Grandma's house for now. But don't worry. As we mentioned, we will be back soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
From across the galaxy, Miles Tails Prower! Facing off against the powerhouse, Knuckles the Echidna!
I don't understand. Why am I angry at the enemy ball?
You're not angry. You just want to hit it as hard as you can and then run around the bases.
But if my quest ends where I am standing, why run at all?
I can't with this guy. Why do I even try?